videos for like 2-3 years. I started when I was really young, when I was like 14. And then I was going through, I was basically just being lazy. And then this one specific acid trip, like, I don't know if you've ever taken psychedelics, but it just makes you confront everything that you're ignoring. Yeah, you don't do drugs. But it made me confront everything. Since then, I've taken it, and honestly, I had a really bad time. Like, the last 3-4 times I've taken it. I don't recommend it. It wasn't life-changing. It was mostly just like, sitting down, being dumb and too high. But this one specific trip, it was a bad trip, really changed my life and made me confront everything that I was ignoring. And that was the next day I started uploading YouTube videos again.
Yeah, well, also, and I'm very happy for you, but I feel like a good long look in the mirror or a conversation with a high-value dude who you aspire to be could do exactly the same thing.
It's the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I've sat with people and had short conversations with them, and they were like, come back a few years later, that conversation changed my life. And it's just another way of opening your eyes. But you have the power within yourself to do that without other people, without other influence, without the influence of psychedelics, in my opinion. I mean, you have that. You have that power. Everyone has that power.
Someone said, how can I make money when I have no skills? You could sign up for the Creativity Kit or Hustle University. I think that's a good way to start.
Yeah, I guess so. And you know, find out what you're good at. You have no experience. I wouldn't say you have no skills. I mean, I believe everyone's got to be talented at something.
A lot of people really have no idea what their passions are at all. They spend the amount of distractions, Tristan. I think it's different because you didn't grow up with social media. There's a lot of people who really have no idea what they're even passionate about, because before they even have time to explore their interests, they're already hooked on social media. They're jerking off every day. They're sucked in like before it's even time to have any self-exploration. How do you think that these people should find themselves?
Well, I will tell you a story about me. I don't know. You're probably not old enough, but there was a game called, before Fortnite, before it all existed, the huge game when I was in my late teens, early 20s was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
That's how I started doing. I started on Call of Duty.
Okay, good. So I used to play that game. And this...
For starters, I think it's kind of strange that a person from Europe has never done psychedelics. I don't know. I just know that that's where like the psychedelic renaissance began. Not in the sense of that's where they started doing psychedelics, but for modern times, in today's day and age, there's another one resurging right now. Europe is getting hooked on some crazy ass drugs, like whippets and fucking blow. And then there's like this alternative to blow that's going around. I forget what it's called right now, but there's a lot of documentaries on it. Oh, ketamine. There's so many people getting hooked on fucking ketamine in Europe. It's ridiculous. Honestly, they're really lax on drugs. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't think drugs are that bad. If you're using them healthily, then obviously you're going to be perfectly fine. And if you're using them unhealthily, then you're not going to be okay. It's that way with practically anything that humans can consume. Too much or being abusive in the process of using them is not going to do you any good. With that being said, I wonder why it is that Tristan Tate is so anti-drug. I wonder what it is. Most people who take stances like that have just seen the negativity that drugs can perpetuate, or they've had people personally affected by drugs, and that's why they can easily make a vow to be standoffish against drugs. Well, in this case, we're not talking about just any drug, we're talking about psychedelics. What do you guys think of psychedelics? That's my first question. Honestly, I find it strange that Sneako is not more into psychedelics. Honestly, I don't want to go on a rant about a tangent about Sneako, but he's not the most well versed in a lot of things. He seems to have a very surface level understanding of certain things. Like maybe he's a 1 and a 2, but he's not 1, 2, 3, and so on. Like he might not be surface level. He might be able to see a little more in depth than that, but he's still not able to like connect the dots and like understand the complexities of things. For example, if you're wondering why I would say that, just look at that Nick Fuentes interview where he's like talking about white people being superior because their IQ. He literally asked the person that's supposed to be a air quotations white supremacist, and then said white supremacist is literally like rebuttals him perfectly, and it just goes to show that Sneako is a very scripted kind of person. Not in the sense that he had a script, but just I'm getting so off track, but literally just go watch the video where he talks to Nick Fuentes, and literally you'll see what I mean. But back to the Tristan Tate and Sneako debuckle about psychedelics. I don't have a problem with anyone's stance on psychedelics. Like, who am I to tell fucking Tristan Tate, man, you're missing out on life, you gotta do some psychedelics? That's what I'm basically here to say, because I feel as if psychedelics have a deeper meaning than just a party drug or a drug to influence your conscious. I think that it's cool, you can understand that you can see things from different points of view, different perspective. But there's a lot more to psychedelics than just, oh, cool, it changed my perspective, now I see things differently. You see, for a person who's so anti-establishment and so woke, in air quotations, Sneako, to not be kind of adverse or just more pushy or to press Tristan, it was kind of strange for me. I wanted to know why Tristan thinks the way that he does. But for Sneako, it's like you can literally tell psychedelics are important or have something. They have strange properties that will really mess with the world if we were allowed to do them so openly and freely. For example, I'm not just talking about the spiritual and ritualistic side of like shamanism, but literally the government banned research of them. And do you think that they banned the research of psychedelics because psychedelics were turning up poison? They were killing people? No. It's deeper than that. We all understand that humans have a collective conscious, and I think that if they had allowed people to continue to study psychedelics to the extent that we were, the people in power, they saw that road was leading towards a bunch of free thinkers, a bunch of open-minded people, and that's not. You can't have your society, you can't have your people that you rule over, your citizens, you cannot have them be free thinking and open-minded if you want to control them easily. I think that's the primary reason why they banned psychedelic research, because opening people's minds and having everyone be intelligent would not spell out a good situation for those in power. Why do I think that? Well, if you look at things like materialism, or when you look at philosophy, there's a lot of people who say that it's like the people at the bottom, the people who have nothing, who are usually the most intelligent. For example, I forget his name right now. A couple years ago, it was in PewDiePie's book review. He was talking about this Greek philosopher who was under the impression that being poor and having nothing to your name would kind of be enlightening for most people, because you've been debased, you've been taken to the lowest of the low, and you're just kind of able to see things for what they really are when you have no investment in them, and when people kind of, they look at you in a way as if you're nothing. I don't know. you start to see the real values in things, and you start to see things for what they really are. And I feel like a psychedelic does that in the sense that it depends on what psychedelic we're talking about, first of all, because there's some psychedelics that really they won't do anything except just give you like entertaining trip. But then some psychedelics are like mind-boggling. For example, ayahuasca, we've studied that it helps smokers. So if you're a smoker, not even smokers, let me rephrase that. It can help you break out of addiction. So say you have been addicted to alcohol for 13 years, and you beat your wife every night, and you beat your kids every night, and you even trained your dog to go retrieve beers out the fridge. And then you go to Peru, you go to the Amazon rainforest, and you meet a shaman who takes you on a 14-hour journey on ayahuasca, where they do some shamanistic ritual. And you come home, and you just realize that you were such a terrible man. You apologize to your wife and your children for the years of abuse, and from that point on, you become a millionaire entrepreneur and a great role model of a father. Your dog no longer retrieves beers out of the fridge, but cooks dinner for the family so that your wife has less things on her plate. That's all I'm trying to say. That psychedelics are they're useful. They could be useful to society. I think that it's not that you get to see things from a different perspective, but you start to see things from multiple perspectives. They're just mind altering and mind opening in the sense that a lot of the time you'll lie to yourself. You'll tell yourself that things are a way that they aren't supposed to be, or things are a way that other people want them to be. A lot of the times cognitive dissonance, we all know what that is. So basically a psychedelic is going to take that away, because it's like a higher self that's inside of you speaking to you. It's like what you can't tap into is being tapped into. And of course you're going to be better if you can unlock the potential that you don't even acknowledge you have. So I just think that everyone should at some point be forced to do some psychedelics. I don't really think they should spring it on you in some sense of you woke up in the morning, they gave you some tea, they're like, oh, I made you tea and some pancakes, and then the tea is actually secretly fucking psilocybin mushrooms. I don't know. That's not how you're supposed to do it. That would probably be one of the better ways to do it, but it could have a lot of negative effects. So I think you should just mentally prepare people and be like, this is your coming of age journey, brother, sister. This is your time to become revitalized. The world has taken so much away from you. Now the world will give it back. Something along those lines. Like once you graduate fucking high school or something, you have a mandatory drug test, but instead of being tested for drugs, they make you do drugs. A lot of people are becoming too childish, too delusional, and we need to wake up. And so I think a psychedelic renaissance is due in the US. We need good drugs.